First, it was designed on The Sims 4. Then it became primed and ready to be decorated and also became junk storage. Now it is time to do the walls and floors and get it ready to be a house for some dolls. G'day and welcome to Koala Dolls. I'm Tessa, these are my dolls, this is our dollhouse, and we are ready to paint and decorate. Follow along with me and let's get started. Hi and welcome to our second video in this series of me making over a dollhouse that I got for $20 at an op shop once. In the first episode I showed you my design that I made in The Sims 4 and we started priming and reinforcing the dollhouse. If you would like to see that video, I have the link in the description below. But onto this video right now. You can see I'm pouring this beautiful yellow paint which I got from Bunnings. And this is going to be the wall colour for the top floor of the dollhouse. Now, keep in mind I'm recording this from the future and I can say that it has dried a lot darker than what it seems like in this video, but that's okay. I'm happy with that. Here we have Kira, myself, and my beautiful fiance getting ready to decorate their dollhouse. So to begin with, I just started painting. I did it with a paintbrush at first, and then I went back over it with this little mini roller to try and get rid of some of the brush marks. Even looking at the finished product now, it's not 100% perfect because I put the primer on with the paintbrush and the brush marks from that are still kind of showing through, but also it's a dollhouse, so it's not going to be 100% perfect. I had to do, I think, 3 or 4 coats of this yellow paint to really get the colour consistency that I wanted and to make sure that no white parts were peeking through. For the bathroom, I picked up these self-adhesive 3D tiles to go on the walls, and for the floor of the living room and the kitchen area I picked up these wood look vinyl floor tiles, both from Kmart. And the bathroom I used these actual little mosaic tiles as the flooring in the bathroom, and it was almost a perfect fit. As you can see, I was just kind of squishing it in there and I ended up just cutting 1 row off each side of these tiles, which were very easy to do. The backing, or the tiles, were held on with like a netted backing, so very easy to just trim with scissors to get to the right size, as you can see what I'm doing right here. So the next step that I did was I got this mosaic glue that I bought at Bunnings as well, and I put it on the floor here. First of all, wiped it off, made sure there was no dust, and then I put the glue everywhere. That was a mistake. If I was to do this again, I would very carefully put 1 little dab of glue on the back of each tile piece individually, rather than doing what you can see here, which is just emptying almost the entire bottle onto the floor. Because the problem with doing this method was that when I did put the tiling down, glue just squidged up everywhere and it was very messy. And now there's dry glue in between each tile, which I haven't tried to grout over yet, and I'm a bit concerned that when I do, the grout's not going to sit in there as well as I would like. So that's my advice to you. If you want to try this and use actual little mini tiles like this, I would individually put a little dab of glue on the back of each tile on the piece instead of squishing it everywhere like this. It was a mess. So the wallpaper for this wall of the living room area is this rainforest sort of leafy patterned vinyl contact paper, which I bought from Bunnings. You might be noticing a trend here. Bunnings and Kmart did not sponsor me, however I did help line their pockets in the creation of this dollhouse, let me tell you that. So basically here I'm just trying to unwrap it, riveting content I'm sure. Let's skip ahead a bit. And then I got my ruler and did a quick little measure so I could tell how much of the vinyl I needed to cut. The cool thing about this contact vinyl is that the grid on the back is centimetre squares, so very easy to trim to the right size within a centimetre, I guess. So I did that, made sure I had my scissors and just cut. Then I had a bit of an argument with the contact paper because it just kept wanting to curl on itself, but basically I peeled a bit of the backing off and tried to stick it down a little bit at a time, starting from the inside corner and working my way out. This was tricky. This was a really awkward angle to try and do when I had my phone on tripod there and trying to reach in and do it, but the job got done. It got done in the end. If you do this, just make sure you press down really firmly with each part as you go to make sure that it doesn't bubble, and try and carefully peel the backing off. Wow, it was so awkward to do, as I'm sure you can see. It's a bit tricky. Now my plan is to put some cornice, or I think in other places in the world they call it crown moulding, to put that along the top and a ceiling and everything like that. So for me, I didn't need it to go all the way to the top because I was going to cover that part anyway. And there we go, there's a bit of excess which I ended up trimming off. And of course the window was covered, which is not what I wanted, so I just got my craft knife and trimmed along there. It took a little bit to get the hang of it, but once I figured out what I was doing, the knife, yeah, I tried scissors, don't recommend. The knife was fine. I ended up doing the other ones with the knife. Yeah, a lot easier to just trim along there, and then I'll have to make some sort of window frame as well, but that will come at the end once I've done the outside coverings and stuff as well. And I carefully went around the edges and just really trimmed everything up. I'm not going to show you the whole process because I'm sure you get the idea of what I was doing here. I just trimmed and then sort of held it tight and trimmed down and peeled it off. So that's what it looks like from the inside once I had done that. Right, so I've just done a second coat of the yellow and I still have a lot of the yellow left if I need to do a third coat. Even in the tube thing, where is it? Let's whoa, that's my hand. I still have a lot of yellow left in here as well, so I can you know, touch up more if I need to do a third coat. But the stuff left in the bowl there, I want to make like a teal, like a light teal, like a turquoise, an aqua. And I have some of this paint which we used ages ago on a completely different project, so it's like a dark blue. I wonder if I just experiment mixing that and then maybe some white, whether it will give the colour that I want for this floor down here, the second floor, the kitchen dining area. And then I've put the contact paper here. This I'm going to do like with pop sticks to make shiplap, and that's going to be like a greeny colour. I don't know, let's see how it goes. It turns out the little pot of blue paint was all dried up and crusty, so that was a no-go, but I had these other craft paints, also bought from Bunnings at one point, and I just sort of mixed them in, as you can see, adding bits of each colour until I found the colour that I liked.
All I
after a bit of mixing, I finally got the colour that I was looking for, and just like the previous method, I guess, I painted it on the walls of the room and then went over it with the roller to get more of a rolled texture, smoother texture. Now it's time to look at how I did the floors for the living room and the dining room kitchen area. I had these vinyl look floorboards from, timber look vinyl floorboards from Kmart. And they were perfect for this. They were the right size, and they were very easy to cut to the right size as well, trim down. So there's instructions on there, you can pause and read it if you want, but it just basically says to cut it to the size, peel the backing off and stick it down. So here I am just kind of roughly measuring out how much I need to trim off. As you can see, it overhangs a little bit, the sheets, so I needed to trim some off the front, and also the width of them I needed to trim down to make it the right dimensions to fit in the room. To do this, I got my metal ruler again and my craft knife, and I basically measured where I needed to cut, used the craft knife to put tiny little indents on it, and then trimmed along it. And it was very easy once I had trimmed along it to just snap it along that line, and it was a very clean, easy thing. It took a couple of goes to figure that out. At first I was trying to cut it with the scissors, which wasn't as straight and very sticky. The bottom is very sticky, the adhesive on it, very, very sticky. So it kind of gunked up my scissors a bit, which was not ideal. So yeah, once I'd figured out this method with the ruler and the craft knife, it was a lot easier to do. So I would recommend that. And as you can see here, I just peeled off the backing sheet and was able to stick it down in the right position. So yeah, that side's very sticky, and I could just place it down and press it down and make sure everything was adhered nicely. Here is a very satisfying snapping of the of the vinyl, and then yeah, peeling the backing off and sticking it in place nice and neatly. And you can barely even tell it's two pieces, especially once I have the furniture in there. You won't even be able to see that seam. They just connect together flawlessly if you have the patterns going the right way, and it looks really nice in my opinion. Look at that transition between the floorings. I am so stoked with how that's turned out. There is my fern leaf wallpaper, my teal room, which has since had an extra coat of paint, and the yellow room. In my design on The Sims for the dining/kitchen area, I had like a blue patterned tile going half height up in the room, and I found this perfect stick-on vinyl contact from Bunnings, which I just trimmed to the height that I wanted, and you know, peeled and stuck onto the wall, which gives that illusion of having tiles. Obviously tiles this big in real life would be a pain, but it's a dollhouse. It's a dollhouse, it's okay. These Anko brand stick-on tiles are from Kmart. Any Australian would recognise Anko as being the Kmart brand, so yeah, that's where I got them from. They are a weird texture. They're like a rubbery, glossy texture, which is not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was very easy to trim them to the right size so I could cover the walls with them. And when I went over the window, I did the same as what I did with the contact papers, which was just trim out the window. Now back to the living room. I was originally going to do like a shiplap look. So I had all these jumbo pop sticks, which I was going to trim down, paint this olive green colour and cover the walls in. But then, since having that decision, what has happened in the world? Taylor Swift has announced Midnights, and she has been giving us nothing but pure 70s aesthetic, and I am here for it. It made me think of my grandma's dining room with wood paneling, and I thought, you know what, we're going to stain these pop sticks and we are going to make wood paneling as the living room feature. If it's good enough for our Lord and Saviour Miss Taylor Swift, then it is good enough for me. And yeah, I ended up deciding also to keep the curved little parts of the pop stick on top, partially because cutting them with scissors actually really hurt my hands and they're still kind of numb and tingling a day later. But also I just thought it looked cool. So I basically measured out how many pop sticks I needed. Then I painted the top half of the wall with this green colour. While that was drying, I stained the pop sticks with some linseed oil. Shout out to Bunnings again for providing the goods that I bought with my own money. Yeah, and then I sort of laid them out because the different colours and patterns showed up different ways. I used this craft glue to stick it on and just had a go at putting them on there one at a time, lining them up. And I think it turned out looking pretty cool. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. It was at this point that I realised that the dolls hadn't been doing much work themselves, and I was feeling a bit exhausted from doing all this work all by myself, so I got Mini Sean and Mini Tessa to finally help out. They did the rest of this room for me, and here they are enjoying the fruits of their labour. This is our last little tour of this part of the video. There's one thing that I never quite got to doing, which was the carpet in the yellow room up the top. If you have any ideas on how I can do this carpet, please leave me a comment down below. If you've watched this far, like the video so I know you're here, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye.